Hey friends, welcome to this week's episode of the Meet and Read podcast. It is our Christmas Eve episode. I'm your host, Reanna Hoffman, and I cannot wait to get started. We are taking a break from our young adults little mini episode series, but it's Christmas Eve, by golly. We're going to do something new, and we're here with my friend Jennifer Stovall. She's the best, and she gave me these really cool socks that I have on that none of you can see. So, Jen, can you tell us who you are, what you do, that kind of stuff?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And second of all, did you just say you were taking a break from the young adults? Or did you just call me old?
No, we're doing a series
I
where
know.
it's the young adults fit in the church. I know how that
Girl,
sounded. That was so
I
sad.
am I am old enough to be your mother. I
But
know
that
this
doesn't
because
mean
I
you're
have
not a young
children your
adult
age.
at
But
heart.
it means yes, I am a young adult at heart. You are correct. So, yes, as you said, my name is Jennifer Stovall, and I work with Reanna at Zoe Freedom Center. I'm the development specialist there. And I am also a life coach, a certified faith-based life coach with Life Mentoring School. So that's me. I'm also a mom of 6 young adults, so that's why I love young adults.
I love that so much. So, since this is our Christmas Eve episode, what is your favorite thing about Christmas?
Oh, this one's easy. I don't think you can meet very many moms that are kind of recent empty nesters like I am in this stage of life. It has to be the family traditions. It has to be gathering together, reliving some of the old traditions. Just, I don't know. The things that I thought my kids outgrew, they maybe haven't. And I love that, getting to discover that again. So yeah, the having all my little ducklings come back home, even if it's just for a day or two. That's my favorite part.
I love that. Have your kids requested anything special? Like at my house, I asked my mom for chicken and dressing, and I asked my dad for hot chocolate. So, is there anything your kids have requested?
They haven't requested, but I have tried to kind of feel out where they're at in their adulthood. And so all of a sudden I wasn't really doing the Easter basket, treats, or maybe the Valentine treats, or the little, snack bags for Halloween. And they started asking, like, "Hey, are you not doing that anymore?" And so I realized they really do enjoy that still. So I do have 2 sons that are coming home, one from college and one from the military, and they will get stockings. So yes, I will still do that. But yeah. And then we're also going to probably do decorating of cookies and things like that.
That's so fun. I love that. Okay. So, Jen, you are a coach, as you told us earlier, and you have a Facebook group called Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Can you walk us through a little bit of what you're talking about, what that looks like, how to actually have a Merry Little Christmas?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, I would love to just share that there was a couple years where I was having some struggles, especially around the holidays. And I actually found myself hearing the lyrics to songs and thinking, you know, there isn't joy in my world. And I don't feel hopeful, you know. There were just some things going on personally where I thought, I don't know how to have a merry little Christmas unless everything is just so. And over the last few years through coaching, I have learned that it's not my outside circumstances. It's an inner knowing, knowing God, knowing the whole meaning of Christmas, actually, that this even came about. And now that I've worked through some healing, the first thing you want to do is share that with other people. And I just thought, I bet there are other people who are just going through life circumstances, some of them large, some of them small, but they're hindering them from having a merry little Christmas. And that's how this idea came about. And I thought about the subjects that I would have wanted somebody to share with me in order to get through things like the holidays that can be hard when maybe you don't have the testimony to the thing that you're hoping for yet. You don't have the tidy little bow. So how do you find joy and peace and happiness? And so those are some of the subjects we talked about. The very first week, it was a 6-week course, And the very first week, we talked about setting an intention for your holidays. And basically, the premise of that is that we steer where we stare. So, what are we focusing on? Where do you hope to end up? And I gave a challenge to the group that, it's the first week of January. What do you want the memories of the previous 6 weeks to look like? And so the first week was setting our holiday intention. And then the next week was just, right before Thanksgiving. And so it was about being thankful and having gratitude and really giving from a place of joy and just abundance and overflow. And so we really focused on gratitude the second week. And then the third week was probably, in a very strange way, my favorite week. And it was actually about grief. And I titled that one "Grief is it's basically a gift that we don't think about. We don't think about grief being a gift, but it is. And I think the thing that resonated the most with our group, and I don't know if you remember the post I said LOL, and
Mhm.
it meant lamenting out loud instead of laughing out loud. And that really is a practice that I have found a lot of healing and just a lot of compassion for myself and others who are maybe coming into a holiday season and they're really facing some tough things. And how do you bring that before God and to others in a space that's really safe? And so that really resonated with a lot of people in our group, I think.
Mhm.
The LOL, lamenting out loud. And then that next week, after such a heavy topic, we went into self care during the holidays, which is the gift you give yourself. And that's been a lot of fun too. And so a lot of people made little sanctuaries with little
I
spaces.
did.
Yes, you did. I loved your candle and your space. And so many women said that they made spa appointments. We talked about just taking good care of yourself, that you don't have to blow your whole eating protocol and then we don't feel good, and getting enough rest, things like that, taking that bubble bath, taking a walk outdoors, just self-care, just making sure right before you're about to have all these relatives and maybe cooking and baking and wrapping that you've taken some time to check in with yourself and see what you need. And so, yeah. And then our last couple of weeks is about keeping the holidays simple, really measuring, is that a tradition that you've done because it was your mom's tradition or your grandmom's tradition? And maybe it's not even something you enjoy. And to just really examining what stays and what goes and just simplifying our traditions and how we love our family and even with your gift giving, you know. So those are the things that we talked about in our group.
That's so fun. I loved the post because you do a really good job of posting and all your stuff's on brand, so your marketing person is brilliant. And so one of my favorite posts you made was about joy, and you had your grandson and you said to say cheese, and he is very little, and so he just had the biggest grin on his face, and then he finished the video with this like hearty little laugh, and I think I've watched that video 6 times just because it's the sweetest little perfect just picture of joy. And I think a lot of times we forget as grown-ups that we get to have that excitement too about the little things, because you were talking about keeping it simple, and one of the things my husband and I decided to do this year was not gifts to everyone. We love giving things to people. We see things in the store and we're like, oh, that would be great for this person. But we realized that we don't have to be all things to all people. And because we don't have to be all things to all people, they don't need the $30 little thing that's just going to clutter up their house, even though we like love them. So we take a picture of it and we send it to that person and say, hey, this made me think of you. And that made life so much simpler in the holiday season where you're busy with baking and wrapping and Christmas parties and trying to figure out who's going to whose house, when, where, to what extent, trying to get through traffic here in Fredericksburg because it's insane. It took me 20 minutes to get home today. And I'm only 2 miles from my job. So it's one of those things where it's important to remember the important things, major on the majors and not the minors. So the silly little things that we accidentally forget or that just don't get done, it's completely okay. We get to take the pressure off and get to breathe and rest and chill like I walked in this afternoon. And my husband had folded all of our laundry that has been sitting on the couch for me to do. And he's like, I just wanted you to be able to rest tonight. So I folded the laundry and I like jumped up and down and did a whole little dance all over the laundry that I had been intending to get to and had set aside time for, but it was one of those simple things that he's like, I can do that. So he just did. And it was such a gift because, like, he folded my laundry. That's worth like 17 chocolate bars.
You know what that means? Welcome to adulthood.
I know.
It is the little things. And we talked about with gift giving, you may have heard of the book, The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. And it talks about, the acts of service and, quality time and receiving gifts and words of affirmation. And there's one more. What is the
Physical
other one?
touch.
Physical touch. Yes. Uh, when you can apply that to gift giving, it might mean that not all gifts are equal, not all, and sometimes somebody needs a little extra something in one of those ways than somebody else does. Maybe they would really be blessed by a meal or the quality time, or they really just need something and take them to the mall and let them actually pick out the shirt that they want. Okay, well, that really blesses somebody who receives gifts. And so, yeah, I think that's been a thread through our How to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is to really zero in on what really matters to me and to others. And it really does. It just sets you free. My sister and I started doing that idea with the photos. That when we see this cute little sign or a little T-shirt or a little, tea towel or whatever it may be, that we just snap a photo because sometimes the last thing we need is one more item. And often I might even buy that item, bring it home, set it aside, forget maybe even that I even bought it, or then I now have the added pressure of getting that in an envelope, getting it in the mail, when really the heart of it was just, hey, this made me think of you. And that is really the gift. That really is the gift. I want to know that people are thinking of me. You and I have had that discussion about thoughtfulness, and that really is what it's all about.
Yes, and I love that because when we get to Christmas, a lot of times we get so bogged down with all the things that have to be done. Like, I have to buy a present for every person in my family, and the cousins, and the aunts, and the uncles, and the in-laws, and the outlaws. And we really don't. Like, it's not necessary. Taking that 2 seconds and being like, hey, this made me think of you, brightens their whole day versus the pair of socks that you bought them that they forgot about that they're going to wear once a year.
But you
Or
just said you're wearing the socks that I bought you.
I am. I can't put my leg up high enough for our people to see, but I do have my fancy Christmas socks that you gave me. But you gave me that because your whole gift was perfect. But when we're talking about like random people that you feel obligated to give gifts to, the whole heart motivation is so different. And when we feel like we have to instead of we get to, we take the whole gifting premise out of the picture. The whole reason that we're giving gifts in the first place. And then we have the whole Jesus aspect of Christmas because it's literally his birthday. It's like the whole reason we're celebrating Christmas. And when we get so stuck on things like presents and traditions and making minor things into major things, what shouldn't even be things on the table to begin with, we've missed the whole point of Christmas in general. So why do you think it's important that we keep Christ at the center of Christmas?
Well, I love that you brought up the video of my grandson because when I shared that, we were talking about joy. And I've also done a couple posts about Advent, and we were on the week of joy, and I was reminding I was reminded, but then I also was sharing with others that I like to think of this acronym that I heard in a Bible study years ago that has really stuck with me, and that joy is Jesus, only you. And I think that really sums up Christmas, that no matter what we're doing, whether it's going to a Christmas brunch, whether it's going to your in-laws house or your outlaw's house, or you're hosting people into your home, or you're doing a gift exchange with your office mates or whatever it may be, that if we measure it up against Jesus, only you, that he's being glorified. And so we are giving in that heart of generosity, not in have tos, as you pointed out, that we are hosting people in our home with what we have, and that it can be enough. That hospitality isn't the perfectly clean home. I am a firm believer that people will not remember how your house looked, but they will remember how you made them feel. And
Absolutely.
same thing when guests come into my home. It's like a reverse. I don't remember what they were wearing or what dish they brought or whether they brought a gift or not, but I remember how they even make me feel as a guest in my home. And I think
Hmm.
it's just a good reminder around the holidays and as we're starting the new year to think we get to decide how we show up into situations. And when we measure it up against Jesus, only you, that is our heart's desire, that's what they see in us too. So I think that's the main way that I keep Jesus in the center of the season. Is it really is his birthday, and it is really for him, and we are invited to the party to celebrate.
Yeah, I love that so much. So we chatted about Christmas, we chatted about joy and LOL, lamenting out loud. When we see those things, when we end up at Christmas dinner or we end up at our family's house and somebody's not there, whether they have passed away or they're just not there because families do weird things, how would you say we should process that? Because a lot of times we feel very stuck and isolated when we're at Christmas with our mom and our siblings not there or our grandfather's passed away. How do we still have a merry little Christmas when we notice that there's something missing?
So I feel like the first thing is to not have what I call toxic positivity. That we don't just say, "Oh no, I'm just gonna act like it's fine, I'm fine, everyone's fine," when we're not fine. And so I really call that holding a space for what's real. Because when you fight against reality, you're going to lose every time. But when we say, this is how it is, and you might even let people know ahead of time, hey, I'm processing that empty seat. So I was thinking, what if we had a dish that honored grandpa? What if we, looked at old ornaments on the tree that maybe were connected to that person who's missing and just share a memory? And there's just ways to ask for what you need and to be able to speak into it that really acknowledges exactly where you're at. And I have found that that is actually the best way, because what happens is if you don't acknowledge that, it's going to come out anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come out with, you're going to get frustrated at something else and think, why did that bother me? And it's bothering you because you're missing that person and you didn't create a space to really acknowledge it. So coming into it with the reality of where you are at in that grief process, or even in the question of. So I'll tell you one small thing. Um, we actually have had some missing people, like many people have, and there were several holidays where I didn't want to take pictures because then when I look back at that photo, I'm going to notice that missing person. So why would I take a photo if then I'm later going to look at that photo and notice that they're missing? As if I ever forgot that they were missing, ever. You don't forget that someone's missing. So instead, I take lots of photos now, lots of them, because I've learned to really embrace and treasure the fact that I'm a person who loves much and loves big. And I love looking at photos. And you watched that video 6 times, I've watched it 60. I love watching videos and snippets. And that's actually something I've added. So I went from one extreme of no photos to now I take photos, and I'll even pick up my phone every now and again when my kids are laughing or watching a movie or having a moment, because I even love watching those little 10-second snapshots of the joy and the togetherness and all. So I'm embracing and making a space to love my life exactly where it is, exactly how it is, and be grateful and to literally say the words, this is enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is enough. Thank you, Lord. This is enough. And it's made
I
all the
love
difference.
that. That's awesome. Yeah, as you were speaking, I was like, she's getting to live in abundance now. So we see in John 10 that the Lord came to give us abundant life,
Amen.
and like now. And I always interpreted that verse as later, like abundant life in heaven, after we have done all the things. And recently it's like, no, I gave to give you abundant life now. And so with you acknowledging that, hey, this is wrong, quote unquote, something is missing, someone's missing, this isn't how I wanted it, you could either focus on that and isolate, which is not great,
Which
or
I
you
do.
could rage quit, which we joke about sometimes. My family decides to rage quit on things.
Only with
And you could
Monopoly.
go, only Monopoly. That's funny. Or you could say, hey, it's not right, but this is really good for right now. What this moment is, this is what the Lord has gifted me, and I get to live in that, versus zeroing in on the fact that it's wrong. And we could zero in on the fact that it's wrong and miss the entire point and miss all of the joy and forget that all the good things are there. Or we could zero in on the, okay, this is good. This person is here. We get to experience this together, and we get to have this memory together, and we'll get to laugh about this in years to come. Or we get to look back and be like, I didn't like my attitude that day, and I wish I had done this differently. So we can either embrace it and love what we did, or we could regret the whole thing. I think I would prefer to love what I did.
Yeah, where did you
So,
learn that?
just my friend. Her name's Jennifer Stovall, and she has this whole coaching thing. It's called Mustard Seed Living. Anyway, that's a sort of joke because we coach each other all the time because I'm a coach and Jen's a coach, and we happen to share a doorway sort of through the hallway. And so I'll wheel back in my chair and be like, hey, Jen, I need a grown up. And she'll wheel her chair, be like, hey, I need to be coached. Can you help?
I do. I do. That's a good thing
It's
we
so
don't
fun.
charge each other.
I know. That would be
We'd be
so, we
broke.
would just be
We'd be broke.
passing Christmas, like at Christmas when you pass off gift cards to people because you don't know what you're supposed to be getting people. And so you buy this $25 Amazon gift card, and you opened yours and it's $25 Amazon gift card. Oh, great. I don't suggest doing that. I suggest finding something else if you have gotten to the point of swapping gift cards. But
I think that is an example of iron sharpening iron, that we share our little nuggets of wisdom, and we both, because we are from different generations, as you pointed out in the beginning I'm not a young adult, which I'm not. I'm very happy with where I'm at in life, but you see things from your perspective and your age and where you're at as a newlywed. And I am, going on 30 years of marriage, and there's different perspectives. And yet we both love our husbands dearly. And I love that Philip folded the laundry, and yesterday my husband did all the dishes for me. So I think they're a lot alike, actually.
they are.
Yeah.
This has been so fun. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Jen?
Well, if anyone wants to come and find me, I'm on Instagram as Mustard Seed Living, and I think you said you'll put that in the show notes.
Yes, I will
I'd
put the
love to
link.
have more young adults coming in and joining the conversation. That's
Yes,
the
that
good
would be
stuff.
so fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So I will leave your Instagram in our show notes. I'll leave the link to Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas to your Facebook group if anybody wants to join. I know it's Christmas Eve, but they can always scroll back and see the content. And then I'll leave my Instagram and all the things. So it's Christmas Eve.
And
Yes.
actually, we do have something coming up. We're going to do a Glow Up 2025 in my coaching. So that's something new that they could find me through the link. So
That's exciting. I can't wait to hop on to that.
I know.
That's so fun.
Can't wait to have you.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So it's Christmas Eve. I am going to Christmas Eve service this evening. And then I don't know what we're doing for dinner. I need to figure that one out. And then we're headed to my in-laws' house. And then we're going to my mom's house tomorrow. Day after tomorrow at like 3 a.m. So I know you guys are doing fun stuff for Christmas Eve tonight.
We're doing Christmas Eve service out here in Fredericksburg. And we are also going to dinner, but I'm not cooking. We made a reservation. So
I love that. That's so fun. Well, friends, thank you for jumping on the Me and Ree podcast. Jen, it has been so fun. I have so enjoyed it. If you have questions or comments or concerns or anything of that nature, you can leave a comment here in Spotify. If it pertains to Jen, I will gladly forward it to her. There's also a poll that you should fill out because they're fun. If you have any questions for me, you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is Reanna, Reanna.ivy, Ivey, .hoff, HOFF. I would love to chat with you there. Otherwise, we are going to have a New Year's Eve episode next week with my favorite guest ever. Philip's going to be back on the podcast. And then after New Year's Eve, we will get back with our young adult series. So you guys are amazing. Can't wait to see you later. Bye, friends.